What was loved by poor people until rich people ruined it? Living in warehouses in the industrial, run-down side of town. Yes. They tore down all the real lofts to build condos they call lofts. Historic brick warehouse gets torn down. Coming soon, lofts. Introducing the lofts at Kenny's house. And people complained the windows are too big and everyone can see in, and they didn't like the open floor plan. That was the whole point. Artists had lots of room and tons of natural light. Living in dilapidated warehouses used to be hip until rich folks turned it into urban loft living, complete with artisanal coffee shops and trendy boutiques. Hello. So, there's this thing that poor folks used to really enjoy. Like, it brought them joy and happiness. But then, those fancy rich people came along and totally messed it up. It's crazy how they managed to ruin everything, right? Anyway, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment with your answer to the question. I'm all ears. Etsy. There are so many accounts for cheap crap from China that you could get on a bunch of other websites as well. No, I come to Etsy for homemade stuff and support artistic individuals. Yep, I remember trying to avoid the temptation of Shine by almost buying some unique pearl belly dance waist chains from there, for $20. Dear reader, they were from Shine, just without the tags, and with a hefty 200% increase price-wise. Thank God for the reviewer who exposed them. I knew I wasn't crazy. I started looking at stuff from Etsy to get away from Shine. So many things blatantly from Shine marked up 1000%. It was so discouraging. I remember when Instagram filters were cool, but then rich people ruined it by calling them presets and charging $50 for them. Living in arty neighborhoods. This is what I was looking for. Creative poor people have been investing in poor neighborhoods forever. They use their talent to make it a cool place they enjoy living in. The rich say, hey, I want to be cool, let's buy this. And then the price that pours out of the haven they created and turn it into a stale, crowded, overpriced place. TLDR, gentrification. Dude, what I find so frustrating about this is that when they move in, the corporations move in with them. Next thing you know, the cute cafe you like so much as an Apple store, the good thrift shop down the street got eaten up by a new Whole Foods, and the entire neighborhood has lost its soul. One of my favorite record stores just got evicted because their landlord sold the building to a bank that wants to be in the arts district. Living in quirky neighborhoods used to be fun until the rich started calling them culturally vibrant areas and driving up the rent with their fancy bistros and organic markets. Food banks. My local food bank put out a news article basically saying that rich people need to stop using the food bank as a life hack to lower their grocery bills. OMG. That's so evil. Some people really have no conscience. There were stories in the UK throughout the pandemic about it. Those that needed it were having to walk to the food bank to get what they needed, but there was also people turning up in BMWs, Range Rovers, etc. I used to love thrift shopping until rich people turned it into a trendy vintage boutique experience complete with designer price tags and curated Instagram feeds. Champion brand clothes. I had a lot when I was a kid because it was the cheapest possible, and now all that shit is considered vintage. Reminds me of Fila and Puma. That's why I've shifted my allegiances to Gila and Pumbaa. Converse. They're canvas shoes. They're supposed to be cheap. When I was a kid, 90s, Champion gear was high-end. Rappers wore it and rapped about it. See Wu-Tang, Seventh Chamber. Then, you started seeing it at Walmart and other discount stores in the late 90s, early 00s. I had such a massive collection of Beanie Babies until rich people discovered them, and suddenly they became investment opportunities. eBay. It used to be so useful to get all kinds of cheap or unique things. Then more and more big commercial sellers joined the club, and eventually eBay itself forgot about what and who made their platform a success in the first place. I've had my eBay account since '98, when you had to send physical checks/money orders through the mail. It felt like an online flea market or garage sale where you'd get to know certain buyers and sellers. Feedback was very important, and you never bid on something you didn't plan to buy because any hit to your reputation was a huge deal. It was a nice little collecting community until they allowed resellers of knockoff goods in and turned the whole thing into another Amazon. I occasionally still sell collectibles, but the amount of people who just don't bother paying is huge now. I miss old eBay. Blue-collar residential neighborhoods in the city. Yes. This is my answer too. Not just houses in general, but poor neighborhoods in particular are being fucked over. You can see the tale here in the property history on Realtor.com. Lots and lots of houses previously on the market for $50,000, bought, and then flipped and listed for $250,000 to $300,000 in a zip code where the median income is $34.5 thousand, which is a good $20,000 less than the median income for the city. Shockingly, no one wants to spend $300,000 for a shit remodel in the hood, so most of these houses sit empty until they're put on Airbnb. I think the problem with gentrification in the US is twofold: a failure to provide a path to ownership for often at-risk residents, which leads to slumlords, and a failure to protect the at-risk pop who do own property from massive tax hikes. No one is opposed to tearing down condemned houses and building new ones, but the neighbors who have been there should not get fucked by massive tax increases. I used to enjoy taking a stroll through my neighborhood until rich people labeled it a charming urban walkabout and started advertising guided tours for the hipsters to enjoy. Quiet out of the way country cabins sitting by lakes. Now they are overpriced Airbnbs. Edit, thanks for the award. I'd even say Airbnbs themselves. They started as a potentially cheap alternative to hotels run by people who have extra space they aren't doing anything with. Now people build guest houses specifically for Airbnb and treat it like a full-on rental. Van life and tiny house living. It's like they gentrified the trailer park. Not where I live. We still have proper trailer parks loaded with meth, pit bulls and domestic violence. So authentic, love it. No. Bad hipster. Shoe. Living in my adorable shoebox apartment used to be so charming, until rich people turned it into micro-luxury living with gold-plated faucets and a concierge service for your pet turtle. Buying a fixer-upper home and spending weekends working on it. I was really looking forward to that. I've seen so many nice period houses completely gutted on the inside by modern renovations. If I'm buying a 1930s house, I don't want stupid Scandinavian minimalism interior. What's even worse is when they completely tear down a nice period house and put up a boxy gray monstrosity in its place. Saw that happen with this gorgeous Tudor house in my neighborhood a couple years ago, and now the ugly boxy house that replaced it looks unkempt. Or my favorite, when they take a gorgeous mid-century ranch and paint all the bricks white or black and the wood gray. Fucking hell. If you're going to make your whole career revolve around renovating houses, stop stripping the history, charm, and style from sought-after architect-designed homes. I was really excited about starting a DIY crafting trend until rich people made it artisanal crafting and charged a fortune for mason jars. Counterculture-based festivals. Burning Man was on my bucket list until rich fucks started showing up with bodyguards and started establishing private zones. Counterculture as a whole seems to be getting gentrified. In the Netherlands there are a lot of places you can go to that have a counterculture aesthetic, or more specifically squat aesthetic, but have exorbitant prices. Squatting used to be huge, and multiple venues in the Netherlands, like Paradiso and Melkweg, have their humble beginnings as a squat. Ruigoord, a village close by Amsterdam that got squatted 50 years ago, also completely lost its soul and is filled with yuppies. Counterculture is being gentrified, sanitized and sold back to people at exorbitant prices as something new, weird and hip. Not really new, but certainly much bigger nowadays. I can remember people joking in the 90s about anarchist kids fighting the man while wearing their Hot Topic Anarchy TM shirts. Attending underground concerts used to be the epitome of cool until rich folks showed up with their VIP sections and started renaming mosh pits as exclusive dance zones. Thrift shopping. I'm not thrifting, I'm fucking broke. Sometimes I feel like it's cheaper to buy clothes at Target or Walmart brand new than it is to buy from a thrift store. My local Goodwills are selling Target shirts that are used for the same price they retail brand new. The only thing that's cheap is the furniture, and anything decent is gone the moment it hits the floor. My local Goodwill will cross out the Target clearance price and then price it way higher. Like they don't even try to hide the original price, they just put a line through it. I used to enjoy budget-friendly fashion finds, but then rich people came along and turned it into a luxury sustainable style expedition.